What is it when you're in the driver's seat and the car is moving without you directing it? What is that again?
Oh, autopilot.
Okay, maybe you're on autopilot. You can simultaneously be in a state of blur and also retrospective and appreciative of how far you've come. And like, you did that.
Hey, this is Rana Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success. Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 200 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. It's been 200 episodes, and I wanted to make this episode special, and I also wanted to make it be a lot about reflecting. You're going to hear a conversation. You're going to hear from two dream drivers reflecting on their own journeys and what they're building. But I want to start out this episode with saying this. So it's funny because as I was finishing up editing this episode late night around 8 p.m.-ish, March 31st, 2018, I saw on social media that Nipsey Hussle got shot, and eventually they reported that he died. Nipsey Hussle was a lot of things. He was a rapper. He was an entrepreneur. He was a philanthropist, a father, a partner. Has an incredible story. Whether you know his music or not, if you do research on him, you'll realize that he really left an impact on those that he touched through his art, his music, his life, all of that. And hearing that he died, he got shot, he got murdered, it really touched me. It hit me hard. I thought about his family, his friends, everyone who was in connection with him. It made me think about even my own weird connection to him. I reached out to his team twice before in the past, asking him to be on the show because I thought what he was doing in the entrepreneurial world, especially as a Black man, was very commendable, and I wanted him to come talk about it. I admire his hustle. I admire what he was doing for the community. But what I really thought about was this idea of legacy. And that's what I want to talk about on today's episode. I had a hard time thinking about how I was going to intro everything. I could go on and tell you guys about what I've learned over 200 episodes. You can go back to episode 100 where I talked about that 100 milestone. A lot of those lessons are still the same. My biggest takeaway has been impact and hoping that each episode touched one of you in some way. Whether you're listening to this for the first time, I hope that you will be touched. I hope that there was something that was ignited within you, that there was some fuel within you that sparked every time you listen to a Dreams and Drive episode, because I feel like sometimes there might be business lessons that are imparted to us. We don't remember everything, but we remember that feeling that something made us feel. So what we create and leave behind really matters. Talking to over 180 guests since January 2016 has taught me so much about the power of our stories to inspire, the power of what it means to be human, and how even when we don't think we can keep going, we can, and we are. So as you guys hear this experience today, I just have a few reminders. Please make sure to share this on social. I'm going to make a special announcement on this episode as well. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share it on social, screenshot it, share with your friends. We're Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also use the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. I am hosting a dinner party. If you guys don't know, there's only a few tickets left. I think we only have 10 tickets left at the time of editing this. So if you want to attend a Dreams and Drive dinner party, it's called The Road Trip. It's on April 27th in Jersey City, New Jersey. You can get more information by going to dreamsanddrive.com/events. dreamsanddrive.com/events. We're doing it with episode 59 and 60 guest Courtney Futch. I have also created a way for you all to support Dreams and Drive. So I'm making an announcement later. You have to stay tuned to hear what it is. And I realized I need to be a little bit more purposeful or intentional about telling you guys how you can support the show. So if you'd love to donate monetarily to Dreams and Drive, we now have options available. You can go to dreamsanddrive.com/donate. We have a PayPal button, Cash App button, Patreon as well. You can be part of our Patreon community for $5 a month and just show your support to the show. Whatever you would like. I'm appreciative of anything, but I really want to stop being fearful to put that out there because there are people who would like to support the show and help us create future content. So first, guys, you're going to hear from Dream Driver Jessica Smith, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her experience with Dreams and Drive. And it was so amazing hearing Jessica just give her feedback. And this brought tears to my eyes when I saw this first. It was a video, actually. I'm going to post it on Instagram later this week. But to know that this show has impacted someone in this way, it's the reason why we were able to make it to 200 episodes. So let's hear from Jessica.
Hi, Dream Drivers. My name is Jessica Smith, and I'm the creative director of jessicasmithmedia.com, where I spotlight female social entrepreneurs and mission-minded organizations in order to best position them for strategic partnerships and funding opportunities. So, my favorite episode of Dreams and Drive is episode 137 with Jonathan Jackson of Blavity. It was called Self-Care and Personal Growth, Are You Checking In on Yourself? The reason why this was so important to me, or why it resonated with me the most, is because I also struggle with anxiety, depression, things of that nature, but I never really heard a Black male talk about that and his own struggles with that. And so I was really appreciative to hear his transparency, his story, and I was really moved to kind of really learn more about him and kind of follow him. And so I actually saw him on the flyer for an event last year, the BYOB retreat, the Build Your Own Brand retreat. And that was located in the DC area Memorial Day weekend. So he was a keynote speaker. And so seeing that he was a keynote speaker as well as Yvonne Orji, and knowing that it was kind of in the DC area where I'm from, things of that nature, I was like, you know what, I need to be at this event, right? And so fast forward a little bit to the actual event, I actually connected with another one of your podcast guests, Alex Wolf. And during her writing panel, she was talking about how she let go of her brand Boss Babes in order to really focus on her writing. Because as an entrepreneur, she always had to be on. But as a writer, she could be messy, she could be creative, all those things. And I really, that message resonated with me as well, because no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm serving, the clients that I'm coaching, etc., at the core of me, I've always been a writer ever since I was a young girl. And so with that equipped, armed and equipped from that experience, that event, that conference, I really wanted to move forward and with my brand, Jessica Smith Media, and say, okay, I am a writer. And so actually, fast forward again, that gave me the confidence to really approach you, Rana, when I decided to interview you underneath of the brand Walker's Legacy. And so what happened with that story is that we ended up featuring your story on my website first before we featured it on Walker's Legacy, just with timing and everything. And so that really kind of encouraged me, because I felt like I was just a small brand with not a huge following, but you allowed me to feature your story on my site first before Walker's Legacy released their article. And that showed me that I don't have to attach to these big other magazines and brand names and things of that nature, that I can really take ownership of my own platform and approach influencers like yourself and tell your story. Because I have the interview skills, you complimented my interview skills, things of that nature. So it really kind of gave me that push that I needed. And so I'm going to continue to work on my brand and, find those stories out there. And really the key part for me is really attracting that funding, attracting those resources, because that is my background is in nonprofit development and really kind of connecting people to those resources that they need to position themselves for success. So I just want to say thank you, Rana. Thank you, all the other Dream Drivers and everyone who's been on her podcast. Congratulations to episode number 200. And I wish you many, many more and continued success. So thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to share a piece of my story. Take care.
like I say before, and like I'll say again, you never really know who you're impacting or how you're impacting. And it also inspires me because there's sometimes when I doubt myself. There's sometimes when I don't know what I'm doing and I'm wondering if this all makes sense. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So you guys are going to hear from, if you remember, in episode 178, I talked to my friend and we didn't name her, but you'll hear her name in this episode because I kept saying it. Her name's Mary. And we talked about what it was like, life after quitting and all that stuff. And I brought Mary back because I trust her. I love the way we're able to have conversations. And we're going to talk about this idea of being on autopilot. And to be honest, this episode or this segment was really hard for me to do. I wasn't about to air it. I really was about to scrap it, but I talked to her, I texted her, and she was like, girl, you just have to be vulnerable sometimes. And although I'm laughing a lot in this episode, although it's very lighthearted in some parts, I want you to really listen to what I'm saying. And for anyone who may feel like how I feel and you feel like you're just going and going and going and not really know where you're going to, it's okay to be in park. It's okay to be in reverse. That's something that I'm learning now. And it's part of the reason why I'm announcing that I'm going to be stopping publishing of new episodes for a while. You'll hear more about it in the episode. Not permanently, but sometimes you got to go and pause in order to recalibrate and get everything, your engine running correctly. And to give you a little bit of backstory, I originally asked Mary to come on this episode and just give me an interview about what it meant to be a podcaster of 200 episodes. And she was like, nah, girl, first of all, you're not going to put me on the spot. And I'm not, this is not what I do. And we really got into the whole conversation of what I really wanted to talk about. So you guys will hear all of it. Reflections are so important, with laughter and honesty, of course, and with people who you trust. Let's get into it.
But you're asking me to come here with questions ready to go on 200 episodes worth of interviews without having any time to prepare. Even knowing that you take however long to rewatch interviews, do research, write a bibliography, and a PhD dissertation before you come.
You agreed to do this, Mary. I didn't tell you to do this. Well, you know what, Mary? It could be very broad. And listen, sometimes the broad gets deep. I would never expect you to go back and, do some organic chemistry in these episodes. I just want, ask me some random reflective, like it's been 200 episodes. And that's something that, I know, let's pretend we're having a phone conversation and you're just talking to me about like what I've learned. It doesn't have to be deep because, as I said, I have an announcement to make anyway to you.
Okay, let's start with that then.
Okay, so the announcement that I'm making, Mary, is that I'm taking a break from the podcast.
Interesting. And why is that?
It's something I've been thinking about for a long time.
I feel like you're giving me your podcaster voice. Girl, why are you quitting the podcast? What is happening for real?
What do you mean? I've been trying to modulate and really sound like myself. No, but for real, like I just feel like I need some inspiration. Like I've been doing the same thing for 200 episodes. I need to switch things up. And I've been going so hard week after week interviewing people that I haven't really had time like to actually sit back and think about it's 3.5 years in. Where is this growing creatively? What can I be doing that's different? So instead of spending time each week feeling like I'm in a rat race to get episodes out, I have so many episodes that my plan is to release reruns for the next month or so and provide some like reflection in the beginning of them. Because there are people who have never heard an episode from 2016, maybe even 2017, maybe even early 2018. And your favorite TV shows, right? Like they work in seasons. And I think I've just been pushing myself to do a weekly show for so long and not really thinking about what's the purpose of this weekly show. So it's more of a creative break. Also want to work with some other stuff. I'm doing the dinner party. I'm trying to do some other type of events. I just am tired of producing a show every week and need a break.
I wouldn't even call that a break though. I mean, what you're, especially not a creative break, like what you're describing is essential to the creative process. Like taking time, having perspective and distance to really reflect and understand what works and what doesn't work so you can proceed forward with intentionality is a must-have. So you're just doing what you should be doing.
Oh, so what should I call it then?
I mean, do you even need to call it anything? I think you've already set your plan in place. Like it's not like you're discontinuing content per se. You already have episodes scheduled for those weeks. It's not like you're disappearing off the face of the planet. But if you wanted to, if that was what was necessary to your practice, you could.
I was debating if I should. Like, I've actually been debating, should I do the rerun route? Or I'm scared people will forget about me.
Girl, a month from a month?
You don't know.
For a month, you need to really be looking at your life because something else is the matter. Something else is the matter right now.
If what?
If you think people's connection to you is so shallow that after a month they're running away, that says something about society, one, if that's the case. And two, it means you're not connecting deeply with people. That says something bad about you too. So you got to get to the bottom of that. Because that either cannot be true or you need to forge deeper connections with your audience.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm also wondering how much, and also it's like, will people miss me? Like, will they be like, hey, where's the new podcast? I don't know. I feel like there's so many reasons why I want to do this that maybe it's part social experimentation. Maybe it's part just realizing, do I need to be a weekly show? Could I move to seasons? Could I do some more creative concept stuff? And also, I just want to take time to think about who I want to have on the show as well. And I just can't do it all. And because I'm only a one-woman show, it has become so overwhelming to me. I want to make sure that I'm creating a legacy and something that I'm proud of and not just look back and be like, oh, I showed up every week. Was I enjoying the journey? Like, that's the part that I'm really been thinking through lately is how much am I enjoying this? And what do I enjoy about it? And so what can I take that in order to craft the next step? Because I don't want to be 10 years from now still doing the same thing.
So what do you enjoy about it?
I love talking to people. So I love having the conversations. I love learning about new industries and learning about how people made it. And then I love seeing people's responses to things. So like the episode I did, episode 197 with Dr. Holistic, Dr. Bobby Price, like that was really cool because it was a long episode, almost an hour and 30 minutes, but people really resonated with his story and they shared so much about how it inspired their own health journeys and how, it was just really interesting to see that feedback. But to go deeper, I feel like I need to really answer the question, and it's been something I've been talking about with my own coach, is what do I want to be known for? Like, what is it? Who am I? So I know I'm a storyteller, but how do I genuinely want that to be shown to the world? Or what are some things that I'm not doing? We talked about this in the other time we caught up, right? Like a lot of that creative stuff. So I just feel like the podcast has become my little crutch, and it's become what I love to do, but maybe there's more to what I'm supposed to be doing.
So then let me ask you this. What do you dislike about it?
I think I dislike the post-production part. I like editing, but everything else. I also dislike, I wouldn't want to say dislike because I talk about this all the time with people is, I feel like growth can be slow, although I'm growing. It's also could this be faster? Oh, could I be reaching more people? I think comparing it to other podcasts, being on social media, even though I try to take a break from social media, I know if I'm not on there, I'm not promoting, I'm not getting, traction that I need to. So I feel like it's just a rat race of building. But I think any entrepreneur goes through that. But I feel like I'm not really building smartly. Like I'm not necessarily monetizing in the way that I need to. So is this just a passion or is this an actual business? Am I actually making a life for myself? And I think a lot of times people tell me oh, don't think about going back to the corporate job, whatever. But at the same time, it's what do I really like about entrepreneurship? Do I like the idea part? Or do I actually want to build a business, or do I just want to be able to express my ideas and stories?
And that's a good question to ask yourself. And I think it's a question a lot of people don't ask and also never answer, even if they find themselves inadvertently in a position of entrepreneurship. Building a business is completely different from loving fashion or, like even loving accounting, like you can love fashion, but not necessarily want to build a fashion business or have what it takes.
That's very true.
And like, we need to acknowledge that that's okay. It's okay to arrive at that point. And then you have a commercial interest that pays for your bills, like runs the household, all of that. And then you have space and emotional energy to really enjoy fashion. And that's okay. That's okay.
And I feel like another part of it is I feel like I keep trying to be too different. Like in my head, it's like, you see people coming out with businesses, or like I keep looking for in my head what's going to make it super unique, or what's something no one is doing. So that's why I haven't really done anything. Like even with the whole like course, monetizing, like everyone's doing ads and sponsorships, like that kind of stuff. I've tried. I haven't been as successful as I want, but I've tried. Then I'm like, oh, I could do the ebook and course, like, informational products route. But then I'm like, everyone's doing that. And I could make money from it, but is that really unique? Is that really visionary? So I think I'm caught up in this whole, like, what's something that's visionary? And even with the podcast, sometimes I feel like, is it as visionary as it could be? Am I like testing the creative boundaries? Like, there's all this stuff I feel like I'm just telling myself.
But do you think you're sidelining yourself from the start? Because you can't know if something is visionary unless you do it, unless you put ideas out there, unless you try things and experiment.
Yeah, that's why I want to start doing different things.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
So it's really like you want to push the boundary more, and you want space and time to do that. And doing the weekly podcast doesn't necessarily allow you to do that.
Yeah, or at least having the space and not feeling like I have to be worried about booking guests, or I have to be like following this strict weekly timetable, and realizing like I'm conforming to a routine, but not realizing I have the power to change the routine. Like it's my brand. I can I can reformat it. You know what I mean? And I can like reset expectations. So realizing I am the driver, because I've been in the back seat and I'm like, oh, wait, move over. Oh, wait, no one's in the front seat. Oh, wait, it's not even a self-driving car. It's my car. Like, I had a moment where I realized it's my car.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, so what am I going to do? Drive it, or am I going to get driven?
So if you were to look at this upcoming month without the pressure of how other people will respond to it, like what would make you feel like, wow, that was a month well spent?
I think that at the end of the month, if I had clarity around what's next, I had time to just be creative. And then also time to like reimagine everything. Kind of like a rebranding in a way.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a brain dump right now.
No, that's good. I guess my question is,
I kind of don't even want to do any podcast, but I just feel like I should, just so that I was telling you earlier, I'm not losing people. Just for numbers' sake.
I hate hypothesizing, but I think what you're asking of yourself in this month off is incredibly important, so critical to what you're working on, right? And I think like a much needed recharge and refocus for you. Are you comfortable with the possibility that you go through this month, do all of this self-inquiry?
Nothing happens.
Not that nothing happens, but at the end of it, you don't have a clear direction. Like,
I guess I'll just take another month off.
I guess what I'm trying to say is how is it more important to be clear by the end of it, or to just have taken the time, even if it leads to kind of more deliberation is necessary in the future?
I think it's more important the latter, to take the time. But I want to push myself because I feel like I'm always taking the time, and I'm always like, I'm not really a planner when it comes to my long-term goals. Like, I feel like I'm good at making short-term goals, but when thinking about how does this fit into the bigger picture, I like to keep the bigger picture undefined and go with the flow. I'm just trying to figure out my life, Mary. Like, it's tough. It's tough. I feel like I'm in the intersection in lots of different places in my life. You know, I'm about to be 28 this year. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. 28 in May. And just feeling like, am I hitting milestones for myself that one would think a 28-year-old should hit?
One would think, or that are important to you?
One would think, and I say that because it's showing you how I am thinking of others. Like, I'm thinking of... Mm-hmm. So I think I need to take time to define what are my own goals. Yeah, that's probably the bigger thing here. And I think I see the podcast, as I said, it's a comfort zone. Like, it's like my little teddy bear. Like, I know every week that it's going to come out. I know it's like a constant in my life. I know what the expected output is going to be. So I think I'm trying to change things up in order to force myself to like do something or make some decisions. As you know, sometimes I just throw myself into things and try to figure it out as it comes. So ideally, it's just, taking a break. But as you made me think about, it's like, what is the purpose of the break, right? And if I don't have a real purpose...
No, you do have a purpose. I mean, I'm not questioning the purpose of the break. I think the break, I'm questioning why you even call it a break. To me, it's...
Well, no new episodes. That's how I would call it. No new episodes. Like, I just want to, like, I see all these people creating all this content, and I'm like, I don't want to just be creating out content for the sake of creating content. I want there to be a higher purpose. And I think I need to challenge myself to think about ways that I can really make Dreams and Drive valuable. But I'm also trying to answer this question of why am I doing it?
And I guess the reason I asked that question that I asked beforehand about like what happens when you get to the end of it and it's unresolved is that like the outcome of taking a break may be unresolved. It may be resolved, but it also may be that things stay the same or that Dreams and Drive has a finite end or that, I mean, like... This is a serious, this is a serious kind of moment for you, right? Like you're taking this time to reflect and I guess I'm stating it because I think it's very easy to have really optimistic expectations in moments of inquiry like this, where you're kind of detaching from the way things are and you're really taking time and space to reflect.
Yeah.
And in ideal world, we come out of those moments with like clarity and like energy and ready to take on the world. But the reality is sometimes we don't. And sometimes we come out of it less clear, or sometimes we come out of it having to make a really difficult decision. And that doesn't make the time spent any less valuable. That's what I'm trying to say, is that this is important. And at the end of it, no matter the outcome, this time that was spent is incredibly important. And I also don't want to make it sound like more grave or more serious than it is, right? Because maybe it's not that serious. But I don't know. I just wanted to probe with those questions.
I think part of me feels like I need to spend time to actually build a business. Unemployment's over, right? It's like, it's down to like real life-ish now. It's like, all right, what are you doing, Rana? Yeah. Well, I haven't decided if I'm going to go no episode route or reruns. My first inclination is to do reruns. I just feel like, that's what media people do all the time. You can catch reruns of your favorite show all the time. I think it's also this part of me that wants to do different things. You know how we talked about this like 5 months ago when we talked last time, right?
But do you want to be different for different sake or different because that's what you need?
I think both. That's a hard one. It's like, will being different help me stand out and actually grow? Although I'm growing, but it may not be as fast as I want to. You know what I mean?
What are your benchmarks? And this is something I guess that as we reflect on the past 200 episodes, this is one thing I'm really curious about. If we were to talk about metrics, right? So you started a podcast. What are you looking at to gauge your growth and your success? And what do you compare yourself to?
Yeah, I need to take the time to really set that out. That's why I feel like I need to get serious with myself and have this conversation. Like, where do you see this going? Or what's your vision for it?
I guess the reason I ask this is because I'm wondering, do you feel confident in the metrics, or do you feel like that's making things seem worse than they are?
What do you mean? Like, do I feel like I'm growing?
No, I guess. And again, I don't know your data, so I don't know
what the I don't know what the end. Like, I have like, I don't want to say this because I know they're gonna listen to this, but like other podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting like tens of thousands of downloads per episode, whereas I might get like 2,000, right? 2,000 compared to 20,000. I'm like, ooh, how do I get to that mark? Because that's when you start seeing the traction that you need for ads, when people are coming out to me. You know, I feel like I'm in this space where I'm giving so much, but what is the return? You know? And it's even like I've been thinking about that even with like my freelance writing. What's the purpose of this? And then I'm also thinking about like, why am I looking for like a return? Is that normal? I feel like we're getting too deep here. I might just X this whole episode.
No, girl, don't do that. But also kind of like you brought up earlier, this is you really reckoning with, do I want to run a business? And don't down yourself for asking yourself that question, because if you are running a business, yeah, girl, you need to be profitable. You need to make enough money to cover the cost of your business. Otherwise, you should get a job, and Dreams and Drive can be like the important thing that you pour all your money into, but you don't need to make money off of it. Yeah. And that's okay too. You know, so I think it is important for you to ask yourselves those questions, and not to, I think there's like a penchant for professional creatives to like be afraid to talk about the money side of it. But it's real. Yeah. It's real.
So I don't like being broke. You know me. I don't like being broke. I can't be no starving artist. It's not built for that. It's not built for that. Okay.
You're not going back the whole artist community.
Okay, sorry. I'm not trying to, sorry. Let me retract that statement. What I basically meant was, I don't think I'm comfortable with not having consistent revenue. It makes me scared. It makes me uncomfortable. Maybe I need to be uncomfortable for a little bit. I like knowing that I can pay my bills and that that's covered. That's my baseline. I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm able to live and cover my bills. It also makes me realize, I saw this quote the other day, like a hustler is somebody who makes money for themselves, and an entrepreneur is somebody who makes money for other, like who creates opportunities for other people to have livings. You get what I'm saying? Like entrepreneurs may build companies, so the hustler may be like getting his money, but it's not necessarily to build a company per se.
That others can benefit from too.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, is Dreams and Drive supposed to be like the Apple of podcasts? Meaning, like, am I trying to create this one sole product that's going to change the human world like the iPhone was? You know what I mean? So I wanted to take a quick break from this episode because I wanted you guys to hear from another one of our dream drivers who submitted something for this week's episode. So our dream driver is Tony Etheridge, and I just want you guys to hear about this awesome show that she's putting on. And it's so inspiring to me to see how so many of us have these varying passions and we're putting our all into making something happen. So please, please, please listen to this North Carolina-based dream driver talk about this show that she's putting on, so you think you can advocate. And I hope that if any of you guys are thinking about things that you want to do, this is just an example of, if you have an idea, you can make it happen.
Hi, Rana. I'm Tony Etheridge. And by the way, I enjoyed the interview you did with Jacqueline Rogers learning about her gift wrapping company. So here's the information about my dream drive. It's called So You Think You Can Advocate. It's a similar premise as So You Think You Can Dance. It's a 60-minute stage production on a Greensboro, North Carolina Quaker College campus. 2 audience members would be chosen from the age range of 14 and beyond. The 2 actors would deliver an impromptu performance, and the skits cover anything from social justice topics that are about sexism, capitalism, racism, and the audience, of course, is intergenerational. So they get a chance to vote on the winning performance. For me, This is my dream drive. I am living out this moment in real time with the windows rolled down.
Doesn't that make you smile, guys? Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate you talking about this passion of yours. And I just encourage everyone, if you have something in your head, try to figure out a way that you can plant the seed and watch it bloom. All right, so let's get back to this conversation with Mary.
But then ask yourself this: do you enjoy thinking about how you're going to make money all the time? And not that that's everything Apple is, but if you really truly care more about the creating side of it, where you're creating these podcasts, you're interviewing people, is there a world where your podcast lives under the umbrella of a podcasting company and then you don't worry about the business?
I actually enjoy that. I don't enjoy thinking about the money all the time. I think my true art is really talking to people. I wish I could just get paid to do this and then still be a creator, still be a creative. I feel like I'm in this existential crisis in my mind. But I think it's because I've been tied to doing the same thing over and over that I really haven't dabbled in anything else, which is why I'm excited to do this Dreams and Drive event series, the road trip, the dinner party idea, because I want to actually meet and mingle with people. Because then I realize sometimes when you're so focused on never engaging with people, you don't really realize the value of the platform until you see it in person, in action.
What made you plant on the dinner party idea as opposed to a live podcast or a meet and greet?
Well, I tried that. As you know,
okay.
So the live podcast idea, that was supposed to be a joint venture. It just kind of fell through last minute, but it's not over with. We just had other things come up. So that's supposed to be in the future. But I felt like the dinner party was a MVP product. It was very easy to get going because I'm partnering with Courtney. She already has the concept worked out, and I'm just helping with the execution of getting people there. So I didn't have to put in too much work when it came to all the logistical things. And also it was something I really love. I love eating. I love talking. I love eating. I love drinking. The concept was there. Why not just try to make it happen while it was there? She posted on Instagram. She's looking for people to partner with. I just said, hey, let's do it. And we did it. I didn't think about it. I just did it. It was fun. I'm so excited. It felt fun. It felt like something to be excited about. Not that I don't get excited about the podcast, but I think, you do something all the time and you don't get to feel the joy about it that you first felt when you first did it. It just doesn't seem novel to me anymore, which I think happens in anything. I like that it's new. I like that I'm going to actually meet people in person. And I get to be in a different stage. I don't necessarily have to be behind the mic per se, but I can be in the host platform. I can be myself, I feel like, hopefully.
Well, I'm excited. It'll be a new experience and hopefully one that you learn a lot from.
dreamsanddrive.com/events if you haven't gotten your ticket yet. If you have not gotten your ticket yet, April 27th in Jersey City, New Jersey. Yeah, thinking about 200 episodes though, I'm amazed. I'm really proud of myself that wow, I did this all by myself. I mean, I'm not over here touting that you should be, you should try to do everything yourself. If you have the money, the means to get a producer, get an editor, go ahead and do it. But I'm proud of all the things I've been able to accomplish 3.5 years by myself, Mary.
This is a cliche question, but what would you have told yourself when you first started that you now know?
About any part of the podcast experience?
Any part of it.
That's tough. I thought there's so many things.
Oh, so now you need 5 minutes to think about answers?
No, but it's good because I'm trying to think about what would I have told myself now that I didn't know at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know this now, but I would still tell myself that you have to be a student of the industry. I think beforehand I mean, I think I did research, but I think having some type of game plan would have been important. In the beginning, I really just tried to launch a podcast and try to be consistent, which was good because it helped me go. It helped me go. But I think if I at least had an idea of where I was trying to build it or what I was trying to build it for or to accomplish whatever, that would have been important. But at the same time, I was still doing it while I had a 9 to 5. So I wasn't even thinking about maybe one day it being something bigger because I didn't even realize where it would go. So you have to keep your opportunities open, or keep your eyes open to opportunities. That's what I would tell myself. Don't be scared to take a leap of faith. I think me quitting my job was a leap of faith. Maybe there have been other things that I would have leapt towards sooner.
And Rana, that being a student thing is such beautiful advice. It is such beautiful advice. I mean, even for individuals at the quote unquote top of their field, it's just so important to constantly be learning both the general landscape, but more importantly about yourself and about your craft and, the things that the organizing principles by which you create, I mean, I don't know. It's beautiful that you came to that.
Yeah. I feel like my mind is in a mind flurry.
Why do you say that?
I just think of there's so many things going on that I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out myself. I think I'm at this point now where you define by a job, so you have that to fall back on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this podcast, I have that to fall back on, and I really haven't had to take this time out to think about who is Rana, what does Rana want, what does Rana want to do. And I've been putting that off by deflecting that to everything else. I need to have this decision with myself or this conversation with myself. And it's going to be tough. And like you said, I may not come up with the answer in a month, but I need to start that process because as we mentioned earlier, I'm in a car, but am I in the driver's seat or am I in the back seat? Or am I outside the car?
Girl, no. What is it when you're in the driver's seat and the car is moving without you directing it? What is that again?
Oh, autopilot.
Okay, maybe you're on autopilot.
You might have to name this episode Autopilot. Yes. Snap, snap, snap. No, but for real though, you could be on autopilot and not even know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be a year from now being whoa, that year went by. What actually happened?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it was easy for me to quit my job. All right, focusing on producing the podcast now. Okay, I've been doing that, but were there actual benchmarks and goals that I've been working towards? And I think that's just indicative of my life in general, is making sure that I'm just not getting into autopilot in certain things because it's comfortable. Or not just deflecting, my go-to. If I get stressed out, I like to figure out, so who can I help? Or who can I talk to? Instead of actually sitting with what's the issue. I do that all the time. I go through my texts and be let me say hi to this person and then talk to them about their issues. You know what I mean? It's a comfort. It's like a soothing mechanism for me. It's a de-stressor for me to deflect and go to my mode of asking questions instead of asking myself questions.
Ooh, girl.
It really is.
No, I know.
My sister gets so mad at me. Whenever she tries to ask me about myself, I'm no questions today. And she's it's always no questions with you, but you like to ask everybody questions. And then when I'm asked the questions, it's hard for me to answer them. True life, true story, y'all. I'm the chief question asker, but don't ask me too many.
So what happens if Dreams and Drive is meant to be comfortable?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying that, you don't want to get to a place where you're too comfortable with Dreams and Drive. And it sounds like generally with everything in life, you want to make sure that you're being really deliberate and intentional, which is an important thing. But what if Dreams and Drive, I don't know. Actually, I don't know, because it's possible to be deliberate with it still. But I guess what I'm saying is does Dreams and Drive need to constantly bring like new, like agitation, even not agitation, but like, does it need to be that? Or is that something that you're projecting onto it because it's your expectation of what it means to be a podcaster and being a visionary, whatever that means?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. And I think it's also me like wondering, is this the end? Like, will this be all that I'm ever, like.
Well, no, the answer is no. Because you still have a long life ahead of you.
I know that sounds dismal and morbid, but meaning, am I not doing new things because I'm always feeling tied to this podcast where there might be something new I want to try, but it's like, oh, I'm going to cheat on my podcast by doing it. But at the same time, it's only been 3.5 years. And I think we mentioned this earlier or on our last episode, but 3.5 years into Oprah's career, she was still in the newsroom. Mm-hmm. I think as young people who are accomplished, who may be educated, I feel like we have a
sense of urgency that's probably misplaced.
Like, I'm only 28. Like, that's not that long.
I love how in this same episode you both said, I'm turning 28 and I'm only 28.
I'm a walking contradiction.
No, but that's that's humanity. That is human life. That's what we do. We are paradoxical at all times.
I think my listeners are probably like, what is this girl talking about?
No, I mean, this is beautiful, Rana. You're reconciling with a lot. And
but I feel like I'm always reconciling with a lot. Is that what life is? A constant reconciliation?
Yes. I mean, I can speak for myself. Yes, for me. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
It's just the constant I just want to be like, all right, done.
All neat and sorted, right? Girl, if you find it, let me know.
100% loaded. Like, you're like
update is complete.
Yes, like done. Life is done. Like, it's okay. 100% complete. I feel like I'm stuck on like 99.9%. It's just a dot. And I'm like, okay, what's next? And I think it's also like this whole idea of what is purpose?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be in alignment? Are these just things that people made up? Like, is anyone ever in alignment, or is being in alignment coming from a place of privilege? I feel like I'm in a constant reckoning. Maybe I just need to become a writer and just, write all these things down and just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm always in this metaphysical, ethereal thought all the time.
Alignment to what?
With your gift. Mm-hmm. Like, am I out of alignment in some part of my life, which is making me feel so
untethered?
Yeah, but maybe I'm just at that stage in my life. Maybe it's just, I just feel like I keep talking about the same thing over and over and over. I just feel like people might be tired of me, like, just coming with the same conclusions or talking about the same things. If we listen to the other episode we did, I think we talked about the same.
No, we talked about completely different things. I was railing against benchmarks and goal setting, and this is a different conversation.
But it feels the same.
Yeah, because it's real. It's real. I mean, real life is things are going well. Like, it's not like you said the podcast is crumbling. It's not like you said you're like losing listeners. You've stuck with something consistently for 3.5 years. Victory. You've done it for 3.5 years. You've done it consistently. Victory. You've grown your audience. Victory. You've been very deliberate in connecting with your guests and bringing people to your platform and your audience that can contribute, whether that's like a thoughtful word of encouragement, their own experience. Mm-hmm. That's a victory. You mustered the courage to quit a comfortable, safe, full-time job, even though you didn't like it, but it was still comfortable. Victory. You've created time to do this, as a job, period. Because I had this bad habit of qualifying things or making it seem like smaller than it is. You've taken this on as your job, and you've done it consistently still for the past however many months. Victory. I mean, like, you've had a multitude of victories in the past 3.5 years, and yet and still there are also things that aren't quite so clear, aren't quite so great. You're not growing as fast as you want. The future of the podcast, the long-term goals and the outcomes of the podcast, you're still parsing those out. You're asking a lot of questions about yourself, right? Like, that is just life.
Yeah.
It's a mix of things that are going well and things that are not going well and things that are just a little bit unclear. I would actually say the majority of it is just quite unclear.
I even debated, do I need to have a baby?
What?
So I got somebody I'm doing it for. You know how, like, you interview people and you're like,
girl,
who are you? Listen, they're like, what are you doing this for? And they're like, I'm doing it for my kids. It's for my kids. I'm like, maybe I need to go have a kid and be like, oh, I'm doing it for my baby, for my future generation.
Oh, my Lord.
Nah, I'm just being real. Like, I legit am thinking about all these things. I think it's, I appreciate what you said, Mary. I just legit feel like I've just been in this blur, and I'm trying to get out the blur. But sometimes to get out of the blur, you have to realize you are the blur.
Or you accept that that is just the reality of life and celebrate how far you've come.
True. True.
You can simultaneously be in a state of blur and also retrospective and appreciative of how far you've come. And, like, you did that.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. And I'm realizing, like, things come together in ways you never even imagine, right? Like, even like yesterday, like, one of the biggest things I've learned, and I'm also still learning, is that other people's opinions don't have to carry so much weight in my life. And I think we've had this conversation even from our Princeton days. There's this, like, really, really, like, I keep thinking, but what would this person say? Or this is what this person thinks. Like, even with working with coaches and all this stuff, you have to realize you can just take what they're saying to you as advice, because that's what it is. It's really just advice, and you can do with your life as you want to do it. But sometimes in seeking out advice, you think you have to take it, and you don't always have to take advice, and you don't have to feel like you're letting somebody down if you don't take their advice. Like, even with myself, it's like, people advised me to quit my job, and, like, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I mean, I wanted to do it. But then it's like, maybe I might want to work for somebody else doing this stuff that I do for this podcast. Am I going to, like, disappoint somebody by doing it? Why does it matter? Like, if that's the step that I want to take, that's the step I want to take. And also realizing I can be a creator and I can be entrepreneurial in any role that I'm in. Like, who I am never leaves, depending upon, even if what I do changes. I like that. Who I am never really leaves me. I'm always here, even if I'm there. You have any other questions about, like, about 200 episodes?
I feel like we try to hit the 200 episode thing and we keep coming back.
I'm gonna name this. Are you an autopilot? So maybe what would you recommend to people who feel like they're an autopilot, Mary? Even, like, with you, where you are in your life, where you're going.
This interview is not about me. You cannot throw in a 5-minute blurb about what I'm
deflecting. I'm deflecting, Mary. I'm doing what I do best. I'm deflecting.
Girl, bye.
I'm deflecting, so answer my question.
How about I ask you that, as the Dreams and Drive maestro, as the person maybe in autopilot right
I'm
now.
in the blur right now. I don't know what
would you tell yourself, and what do you tell other people who are in autopilot?
You know what? I think sometimes you gotta, like, turn off the car and get out of it. Like, going back to the whole park reverse neutral drive, my first inclination is I don't want people to think that park is bad. Because I've been trying to use this whole imagery, park reverse neutral drive, as a way to guide my story. And a lot of times when I ask people about when were they stuck, when were they, like, not doing anything, I normally relate that to being in park, right? But you also have to realize sometimes being stuck is the beginning of something new. sometimes being an autopilot, being in drive takes you nowhere.
Girl.
Like, it just takes you you could be on a track going in circles, but you're driving, but are you really driving to where you want to go? So I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning is sometimes going backwards, being in park is not bad. Even being in reverse or neutral isn't bad. And sometimes being in drive isn't always good. Right? Like, you could be drive in the middle of an ocean on the bottom of the ocean. It's like, yo, where you going? Like, you're not going anywhere. You're drowning. But you're so insistent upon being in drive. So that's the biggest thing. Like, realizing that there's good and bad in everything. And park isn't always bad and drive isn't always good.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anything else needs to be said. Like, do this all the way.
So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoy hearing that conversation with Mary. Even in editing, I'm happy that I released it because by the end, you'll see how we were able to resolve a lot of the things and come to this conclusion that life is a constant reconciliation. We don't have everything figured out, and it's okay. It's perfectly okay. So help me during this break. As I said, in the month of April, we will not have any new episodes. We'll come back in May with republished episodes with feedback and commentary. So that should be cool. And then June, we'll do completely new guests and everything. I hope by that time to have things rebranded and really have a revamp of the show. Fresh energy, creatively inspired. It's important. And I think for a long time, I felt bad about wanting to take a break. But as Mary helped talk me through it, I realized it's not bad at all. It's okay to be in park or reverse sometimes. It's really okay, even neutral. If you guys love what you heard, please share. I'm going to need all your help in the month of April to make sure that people are still listening to Dreams and Drive. If you're missing Dreams and Drive on Monday morning, you can go back and listen to a previous episode. There's 199 episodes in the catalog, and I know a lot of you probably haven't listened to a lot of them. Go back to, year 2016, year 2017, early 2018. There are a lot of great treasures in there. I'm still going to be on social media at Dreams and Drive across the board. So please engage with me. Tell me how you're going. Tell me what new episode you're listening to. I'll repost all of you. Tell people about the show too. As I talked about in the beginning of this episode, legacy is so important. You never know who you're impacting or how you're impacting. And if you were gone tomorrow, everything you did up until that day is something that people will see and people will it's part of your legacy, right? So just really make sure you're being intentional about how you're putting yourself out into the world, how you're interacting with people. It comes down to the smallest of things, how you're showing appreciation, how you're showing gratitude, how you're showing up for yourself and for others is so important. If you want to come to the Dreams and Drive dinner party, we still have a limited amount of tickets available. dreamsanddrive.com/events. It's on April 27th in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's going to be a lovely dinner party. We're going to have great food, great drinks, great conversation. So please be there if you're in the area. I would love to see you. Remember, you can also donate to the show. Now we have this set up. Just go to dreamsanddrive.com/donate if you'd love to support the show in any way. We have 3 options available. You can Cash App, you can use PayPal, or you can also sign up to be a Patreon or on Patreon and contribute $5 a month to show your support from Dreams and Drive. It's really appreciated. Because I'm not going to be posting for a while, I have to make sure I get everything out here. dreamsanddrive.com/shop is still the place to go if you want to get Dreams and Drive merchandise. So dreamsanddrive.com/shop. We do have some limited gear options, and we also have templates available for sale, email templates for podcasters. If you want to be part of our Dreams and Drive newsletter, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. I really hope that this episode touches you guys, and keep believing in yourself. That's the one thing. I tell people all the time, if you only knew how much I'm talking to myself, and even though I had this conversation with Mary, there's a lot of credit I don't give myself because I have conversations and I want to give up. And I think even just taking the time to talk to her about all the stuff I was talking about is a reminder to me that I believe in something and I'm just trying to figure out how to make it the best and how to keep myself going, and I care. If you can't stop thinking about it and you're trying to make a way to make things better, it means you care. I appreciate all the love that you guys have shown me. I love y'all. I appreciate all the writing, all the support, all the messages on Instagram, all the messages on Twitter. You guys are my fuel, and I know that the time that I'm taking to really just focus on rebranding, to rebuilding, going to the mechanic and getting things fixed, making sure that my dashboard is clean, getting that whole car running again is going to be so, so important. So please just promise me that in this next month, you're going to stay focused. You're going to go back and listen to old episodes. You're going to get motivated. You're not going to give up on yourself, because that's the one thing. That's the one thing. Even if you get confused, you don't give up. All right? Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 201.